Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another series on ESOC TV. This is part of the ESOC Challenge Cup, the 1v1 tournament featuring the top 16 players. And this is the matchup played in the third week of the tournament, but still part of the group stage between Haitch and Prinz. Prinz spawning to the north of the map in the colour blue, playing as a French civilization. Looks to be going for the first trading post straight away. And the fact that this trading post has spawned on the southern side of this route means that this first pass might be incredibly close, but we'll have to see how this goes. So that's the first thing I noticed straight away. His opponent, Haitch, spawning into the south of the map in the colour red. He will be playing as the German civilization for this game. Haitch having previously won 2 series already in the group stage. If he can manage to get the series victory over Prinz, Haitch will be the first person to qualify into the semi-finals. But if Prinz can get the series win over Haitch, Prinz can sneak in and steal it away from Haitch. And he's gone off to a good start, by the way, in that respect, for the early TP. Manages to get the first pass of experience points as well. But I've noticed he's chopping wood at home. He's gonna go for the try and go for a 13-10 age up here, maybe 14-10 with the nerf to the French civilization of the minus 50 food, but he's certainly chopping 100 wood to get a house down instead of going for the very fast, aggressive 12-10 age up. Slightly awkward here finding that 60 wood treasure after he's basically chopped most of the wood already, but that should save him at least 15 wood. He's pulled off the villagers early. And he shouldn't be housed for his next villager, so overall, I'd be very happy with Prinz's start if I was him. Let's look at Haitch. He's managed to pick up not just 1, but 2 native scouts as the German civilization. This is going to be very good for Haitch, because look at his line of sight and scouting. He's scouted absolutely nothing on the map, so he's invested his time taking down that treasure. But now the German has another 2 scouts. He can go across the map, look for those treasures he really wants to take. He's going for a coyote pup, which is nice and easy to take and very, very useful to take versus other treasures. But I think more importantly for Haitch here, in transition, if he wants to go for a trading post, he's not going to be sacrificing any scouting information. So yeah, looks like Prinz is trying to go for that 13 villager, but he's just queued the 14. I think he realised that his TCB idle for quite a while. This bison is about to expire with 6 villagers having to move around. A bit of awkward path in here, a bit of idols trying to get from one animal to another. But there's enough food here underneath the TC for Prinz to gather to get that age up in. But I would like to see this last villager being trained to start herding in this pronghorn, which looks like he's going to do with one of these villagers. But yes, that 14th vill, he should be able to get that age up in queue in no hour time there. So overall, a very, very well-executed age 1 here from France. And Haitch himself also aging up, went for the market start. Hunting dogs as well, as per usual. And now chopping to get the wood in transition for a trading post. He's managed to find where Prinz's Explorer is, and with the Coyote, 1 native scout, Explorer, going to force Prinz back at this point. And Prinz's native scout is away from the action at the moment. Thinking if I could bring it back in time, I could try and contest this, but Haitch having 2 native scouts, yeah, he's going to win this fight. And look at this squad keeping the German Explorer company, and Haitch even pulling the Explorer on top of onto this trading post site. You know what? It's that pull trick. That pull trick might just be enough to get that pass of experience points, and now that would be some high-level strats to anticipate where the TP Travois is to get that extra pass experience points, because that is such a crucial thing for Germany, having their shipments slowed down. I'm just going to stay watching this. I think this is going to be cool, and yeah, he does get it up. In the end, I think he may have just managed to get it up without needing to pull trick his Explorer. There was a bit of pathing around the trading post, but managed to get that down, and we'll get a nice big path of experience points. so that Haitch will have a shipment as soon as he gets to the second age. Right, let's have a quick look at what players are aging up with. Quartermaster here for the Germans. French also likely to age up with 400 wood, checking his deck at the moment. You got 4 Vills, who's got 5 crates in the second age, full rack of cards in age 2. I'd like to try and maybe cut 1 or 2 cards from the second age and put them in the 4th, just in case the game goes late, but looks to be a very standard card deck here from Prinz. Does have double eco upgrades in the 3rd age, so no room for the 7 skirmishers here. And maybe no room for 10 Jaegers as well. Another possible cards to have in the 3rd age. H being sneaky, stealing 40 experience points from himself. I suppose he does need it more from the French player. Prinz dropping down at an in-base of racks, but quite forward away from the town centre. But I think that should be up before any German Uhlans hits the field. And that first shipment is just about to hit the ground now. That's going to be 3 settler wagons for H and 2 Uhlans. The 4 CDBs have already hit the field here from Prinz as well. And looks like he's going to go defensive musketeers here to keep his colony safe. While H, is he dropping a stable? Yep, a stable is dropped. Training 3 Uhlans now. Doesn't have hunting steel traps just yet, but does have enough population to get that full batch of 5 out. So it'll be a very early batch of 7 and nearly going to be 9 Uhlans out in the field, but it looks like that second shipment's only just coming in now, so just the 7 Uhlans out in the field for the French player to deal with, but that's certainly a lot anyway. Prinz seeing exactly where these Uhlans are and which direction they're going. But I think H is just going to be very content in taking down the French trading post here. And Prinz is, I guess he has to react, but he's moving out away from the town centre. This could open up for some cheeky side raids here once the 700 wood from the German shipment here drops and the second batch of Uhlans get created. So the Uhlans can path up to the right-hand side and push in on the French base on the right side, while all these musketeers out on the side. And H doing his homework here, as you can see, scouting forward with the native scout. Does reveal his position due to pushing into the explorer's line of sight, but this is useful information. He sees that there are 5 musketeers and an explorer, and he's probably calculated that if 5 musketeers take on these Uhlans, that could be a good trade, especially with the reinforcing batch of 3+2 from the stable and home city. I think he's just going to take this. He doesn't know about the reinforcing muskets, but he now sees it now, and he's going to pull back. So that was nice in the end, managing to pull all his musketeers out, but maybe getting 2 Uhlans on the side to go for a raid. He's already split one party of Uhlans off to the side to go for the raid. But Prinz is already repairing his trading post, so at the end of the day, the winner of that little skirmish so far is going in Prinz's favour. Another batch of musketeers as well, 15 musketeers out on the field. Not the most mobile, and this is what I'm worried about. But this side raid's going to be very strong. But this repair from Prinz is very smart. How's he seen this? He's going to go, you know, no, I'm going to back out of this and run away. Right, checking the build order. 700 wood and 700 coin here from the French player. 15 musk, semi-FF. H also going for the 700 wood into the 700 coin. CDB is coming in top side. I did see that Prinz did get his great coats, but these villagers, that's quite far out, and he manages to get that one in. There's a villager on the backside of the mine. He moves that one first. I like that. That's some good movement there. I don't think Prinz is going to lose a villager at this point, but there's one villa on the backside of the map. This is awkward. You've got to get through the 3 Uhlans and the house and trees. 1 Uhlan drops, and I think that should be enough, and that is close. Couple close calls there. H dropping down the racks, training 5 crossbows as well. It's enough to overpower this position and get the trading post. And those 15 musks, they were just a little bit in the middle of nowhere. I think the 15 musks can trade pretty decently with the 13 Uhlans and 5 crossbows. And the reason why I say that is that the German player, he wants to keep these Uhlans healthy for when he goes to the Fortress Age. That's more units to upgrade to the veteran status. Prinz may want to transition to Skirm Goon and move away from Colonial Musketeers. So if he gets a good trade with these units, it wouldn't be too bad. 1 Uhlan from that previous raid is still alive. But I don't think Prinz has lost a single unit just yet. And both players are moving their way on to the Fortress Age. Yeah, age up from both players. Prinz leading the charge here. Does have 3 hussars being sent as a possible stabilising shipment. No reason for him to actually send the card. He can always cancel it. Does have Minutemen support. CDB to fight as well. Quite a few units here on the wrong side of the market. When I say wrong, it's not that they're bad to be on this side of the market, but got to be careful if a cavalry did go in. Quite a bit of pathing issues, and maybe a market deletion would be in order. Both players hitting up to the next stage at the same time. The 3 hussars were cancelled, now sending 5 dragoons, and that's just the strength of going from colonial shipments to the Fortress Age shipments there and then. Veteran units, more of them, and more useful for the situation that you need them. Look at Haitch's first shipment. He's going greedy. 1k wood, first card here for Germany. Training war wagons and skirmishers, not getting in that veteran Ulan tech straight away, preferring to wait for the upgrade, the wood for the upgrade from the 1k shipment. In the meantime, just training training war wagons and skirmishers. Both of these units already at the veteran status. Prinz's French scouts scouting this forward villager. He nearly went for the kill there, but the skirmishers are able to push back the musketeer forces. And yes, these colonial musketeers, very, very nice, but they kind of lose their effectiveness now in this part of the game. Prinz has trained another 2 batches of musketeers. There's 22 out in the field, and now getting in the veteran musketeers, going for a musketeer skirmisher composition while sending 5 dragoons at the same time. So having both vet musketeers and dragoons, that's a bit of an interesting decision. Maybe I'd expected to see 8 skirmishers first card there for Prinz in that case. Either or, I don't think either is a bad decision. And Haitch is starting to push out of his base now with this low mass of light infantry, but does have a decent mass of Uhlans behind this. 18 Uhlans in his composition already, researching the veteran Uhlans now, and will be crashing these cavalry units in once that upgrade gets researched. But you know, Haitch sent himself 1k wood. You could say that he sent the greediest shipment. The onus is on Prinz to push out at the moment. And I think the ecos for both players are relatively similar, but yeah, Haitch has the trading post, he has the XP, he has that shipment progression that he likes. Prinz is in his base, he's running out of resources, he has to herd this bison in from the fronts to secure more additional hunting. He has these awkward musketeer units, which versus skirm, war wagon, and a lot of free Uhlans is not the most ideal unit to have, and still going into more goons. So Prinz is going vet musketeer and dragoon combination. Now sending the falconets, hoping that the falconets can deal with the entire German skirmisher mass. You know what? It could work actually. Haitch doesn't have that many skirmishers, but I think if Haitch sees this composition from Prinz, should be able to drop down a second barracks on that 1k wood, but can just kite away. There's no reason to go on top of his units. He can just keep retreating back and taking good trades, keeping the distance between his army and just waiting for his reinforcements to grow. And see, now Prinz himself is going into his own skirmisher mass. It's just at the moment it's only the 5 and can't deal with Haitch's 18 skirmishers. Two cows get rescued. Hazard's so generous to the local wildlife here, preserving the life of these cows. Bring them back to the home city, but I think they'll be eaten as soon as they get home. One falconet out of position forwards, and that is awkward. That's going to pull the trigger for Haitch. He's going to move in. War wagons and skirmishers going to focus down, so it's just one falconet down already, and dragoons in hand combat, or in range of hand combat of the Uhlans. Dragoons, low HP, no melee resist. Uhlans, high damage dealers. They can just, once they get into combat with the dragoons, they melt them really strong. Musketeers, only quite a few of them in hand combat, quite a few in range combat behind. But the Uhlans are only engaged in a small surface area of the musketeers here, and the anti-cavalry potential of the musketeers not really being used to the full extent. Meanwhile, skirmishers ripping through these colonial, or veteran musketeers, but with these being heavy infantry, these skirmishers having 2 times damage versus the musketeers. And you can see how that fight kind of fell apart there for Prinz. Dragoons getting destroyed by the Uhlans on top of them. Yeah, Uhlans, they are countered by Dragoons, but if you get them into hand combat with the Dragoons, it's not that great of a trade in terms of the Dragoons there and then. Musketeers were taking the full brunt of the skirmishers. The war wagons and the skirmishers focused down the first falconet, and that didn't give Prinz too much value from the falconet. And what Prinz really wanted to do was use the musketeers and the dragoons to kill off all the cavalry units, and then let the falconets deal with the skirmishers. But as soon as Prinz lost that first falconet, then the notion of trying to play defensive behind the skirmisher and the musketeer and dragoon line kind of fell apart, and we just now have more Uhlans just flooding the field. Zed moving on top of all his skirmishers. 11 skirmishers here for Prinz, but no anti-cav anymore, and the Uhlans are just gonna go to town. And this is brutal, right in Prinz's base. Prinz has no retaliation or response to this. He's hunting out on the right hand side, it's all fine. Only now calling Minutemen, but batches of dragoons and skirmishers far out at the moment. And I think Haitch has absolutely steamrolled this game here and taken that great fight and going to win himself game number 1. Let's see that shipment progression. He went 8 skirms and into the 9 Uhlans. So he used the GG shipment of the 9 Uhlans to just smash in, and yes, eventually the GG was called. And looks like Haitch is going to take game number 1 there. Yep, 1-0. Got that one correct. Almost gave Hazard a -1 score there. Mr. Brandboy saying wins a fight and then sends 9 Ulan, 8 Ulan, GG easy. Quite a few guys dropping the easy there, but I don't know. It was also tense, but just how the musketeers couldn't get the right surface area engagement on the cavalry gave Haitch the deciding edge in that fight. And we'll probably look into the military population, and you can see that it's a mixture of that as well as just the more stuff. You know, Haitch sends in 1k wood, but able to delay the main fight for quite a while, so his villagers can focus on the food, the coin resources, training large batches, and then waiting for the shipments to reinforce. And this is the 8 skirmisher shipment as well. And the 8 skirms, tied with the skirmishers he's been training. Haitch had about 18 skirms at that fight, I think. Just ripped through Prinz's infantry, dragoons, and yeah, cleaned that fight up and kept pushing that advantage. As soon as he won that fight, he kept pushing that advantage to drive that nail into the coffin there. So a very well executed game there for Haitch. And that's just business as usual for the man from England. He's on fine form today, looks like. Cool, let's go into game number 2. Right, we're game number 2 here, spawning in on Baja, California. We have Haitch spawning into the east side of the map in the color red. He is playing as the Japanese. Haitch, winning the last game as the Germans, has chosen to pick the Japanese here as his first pick. His opponent, Prinz, counter-picking with Japan. It's a Japan mirror on Baja, California. But it's interesting to see a mirror called out this early in the series, given that Prinz had the ability to counter-pick. Maybe he just feels he has the better macro and the better Japanese skills than his opponents. Early 70 XP treasure here for Prinz. Looks like Prinz going to drop down a Portuguese consulate here. Going for the kind of, I guess it was the standard build order last year, or maybe around October, November, of Portuguese consulate age 1. Chop a little bit of wood. As soon as you get the consulate up, tech into Portugal, and once that tech gets complete, drop down the shrine with your about 107, 108 wood to get the shrine in. But behind this, Haitch himself going to mirror the same build here, Portuguese consulate, and I suppose on a very wide-reaching map and in a Japanese mirror. I suppose you can't really get punished for going shrines, and so it's probably safer than going for aggressive strategies out from the Tory Gates playstyle, which has been seen so often and so used recently in ladder games and on players' streams. So So a little bit of housing here for Haitch. Haitch is trying to throw down his shrine. 12-10, currently blocked. Can't train another villager at the moment. Has Prinz got this one sorted out? He's even worse housed. He's 10-10 housed. He can't send his 3 fishing boats because he's housed with the shrine. So Haitch sending his 3 villagers, halting villager production. While as Prinz is now going to send his 3 fishing boats. And look at the difference here. That is... I forget how long it takes to send a shipment. I think it's around about 45 seconds or 40 seconds. And that's come in. Yeah, it looks like Prinz is going to get his 3 fishing boats out about 30 seconds later. Or maybe 25. And, you know, we have 25 seconds of 3 villagers gathering. That is a big, big difference. And it was Prinz who got that experience treasure early on in the game before Haitch. I have no idea how Haitch has managed to squeeze that shipment in before Prinz has. And that could give Haitch a faster age up. So it'd be interesting to compare age up times. It'd be useful to see which way of getting the villagers out was better. 95 woods scouted by both players here. It looks like Prinz has got a shrine nearby just to kind of keep a close eye on it. But 95 wood with Heavenly Kami. I know both players haven't sent the Heavenly Kami, but that's essentially enough wood for a shrine. Without the Kami, you only need to chop about another 10, another 12 wood just to get that shrine down. So it's a very tempting treasure to go for. And Prinz is just bullying Haitch here. I think if you can pick off a Japan monk this early in the game, we'll get some great map control with the shrines mid-map. So that might be the style that Prinz is going for. It is worth just checking that both players are aging up with the Teshuga Shrine. Looks like Haitch is on top of the hunt down to the south. Prinz also aging up to Teshuga Shrine. Nice wall in front next to the consulate, covering the mine as well, and should be able to attract these pronghorns. But there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not a full hunt. Maybe dropping Teshuga behind the TC in this case may have been a better choice, but the walling this provides is very tactical, and sometimes you can't really put a price on that. Haitch has already got a second shrine out on the map. Must have built that on top of a wood treasure. Apologies for missing that one, but Haitch is already in the process of shrining. He's got 3 shrines down. He's building his 3rd shrine at this moment. Whereas Prinz has gone for early market. Don't know how I feel about that one. Early market in this case, especially when you're versus, let's say, a Japanese opponent, you're just going to start losing the map to shrines, and then we could see a case of Prinz going over here with a monk, but only realising he can drop down 1 shrine, because Haz has beat him to it. But if he started shrining earlier, he could be getting a higher chance of going to a new hunt, going, oh, this is a new hunt for me, I'll shrine all of it, or shrine 1 of it. Where Haitch is just out on the map earlier than his opponent. 5 shrines here for Haitch. If we go to Prinz's point of view, with his market in transition strategy, well, he's only got 2. This is a big difference, and only having 2 shrines down while aging with the Teshuga Shrine, Portuguese consulates. Not the biggest fan here. Maybe a pro player in the chat along the lines of maybe I Am Turk. All other players, pro Japan players, can give me some insight on why you'd want to go for an Age 1 market here. I see a dock. Oh, it's the fishing boats tech from the consulate. I'm sure both players will be going for the 3 boats here from the Portuguese consulate, but yeah. Once again, Haitch getting his boats at a much faster point, sending these fishing boats down to the Southern Sea. Prinz is halfway getting those boats because he's aged up later as a result. It's starting to kind of... The score's only very close, only 200 difference, but you can just feel, that Haitch is creeping ahead, and each little small piece of economic advantage he can gain, or tempo advantage, just snowballs into another advantage. Prinz going 5 Ashy, first card here, versus Haitch sending, I think he's already sent his first card, and that's the huge crates of wood into Fortville. And maybe Prinz is sensing that he's behind, but do you put pressure on the shrines? Do you go into Haitch's base? It's quite a large and open map, but trying to move out across the map to take on the shrines is pretty tough in its own sense. double racks being dropped at home here for Haitch. He's got the market down now. Hasn't got a tech in just yet. Researching his first food upgrade now. 10th shrine has just been built here out on the map for Haitch. Also having the boats as usual. Prinz has got both his boats in the Southern Sea. And yeah, the 5 Ashy, it's just sending the 5 Ashy from the shipment. I'm not too sure how that goes. Prinz in this place could have gone 4-vil twice and built the racks and said, right, I'm gonna, instead of sending 600 wood 4-vil, I'm just gonna go 4-vil twice in this case. But sending 5 Ashies from the home city out, getting Ashies out on the map that a little bit sooner. Meanwhile, though, Haitch with his 600 wood. Slightly better eco, double racks production at this point. It's going to be a bit of an Ashy spam fest from both players, it seems. Quite funny if these deers get attracted to Hazard's Shrine under siege, since these animals are now released. But it looks like they're going to start to gather around Prince of Kabul's TP at the top side. Right, small engagement here. 4 Ashies forcing back Haitch's Explorer. Haitch managing to pull that Explorer back without losing it. Mid-map shrine going down. Like, that is quite ballsy getting this shrine down mid-map when you know there's Ashies out and about. But a couple of Ashies from Haitch here. That first batch of 8 he trained, moved down to the south side, pushing off these musketeers, overwhelming and saving his shrine, getting the repair onto it. He's only got 1 attracted, and there is 1 or 2 animals here which could pull. Explorer siege and shrine to top, 4 Ashies top side, but 5 Ashies, 6 Ashies are going to push away and should be able to pick off 1 Ashy for free here if Prinz isn't looking at this point. He's sending reinforcements though, but this could be a nice early trade here for Haitch, and that's an Ashy for free. So in local vicinity, looks like it's going to be a 8 versus 6, but he has all these Ashies down to the south. Okay, Prinz has reinforced down to the southern side. In total numbers of units is 14 Ashy for Prinz here versus 18 Ashy Garys, as well as defensive 5 Yumi. Prinz shipped 5 Yumi. He didn't train them, he shipped them, trained another 3. A Vil has gone down here for Prinz from the Ashies pushing through, and going to get some alright trades on the Yumi archers here. But sending 2 military shipments and you're not crushing that map control factor. What's Hazard sending in the meantime? I think he sent 4 Vils twice. Might not actually say. Well, let's count his Vils. He's got 28 villagers on the land so far. And Prinz, he's only got... Oh, he's got 28. So it's not 4 Vils twice. It was just H saving that shipment. And now sends in the coin instead. H only has 9 Ashies, and I must have missed that trade with these Ashies southern side, picking off some of these sentries, but may have lost a few of those units to this batch of Ashies top side. Prinz actually now has the map control, so sending those double military shipments has now given Prinz the ability to get that map control, which is a huge factor in this situation. But H sending 600 coin, aging up behind this, I don't think Prinz is anywhere close to aging or has the intention. No, he's saying age 2, sending Daimyo support instead. Only has tier 1, he does have tier 2 food upgrade and all resources, so decent market techs here. I'm sure H has the similar techs at his own disposal. Yep, he does indeed. Likely to see this consulate being changed to the Japanese consulate very soon from H. Prinz is still going to stay. He's gone to a Japan consulate already. Military rickshaw. Daimyo's out on the field. Prinz cleaning up H's shrines on the top side. I think, actually, Prinz might soon start to have a shrine advantage. He's only got 5 shrines, so low eco from Prinz. Yeah, H has still got 11 shrines and aging up. So if Prinz was able to build the shrines as he was tearing them down, I think this would be really nice. But only having 5 shrines out on the field for Prinz, he's now got 6 in total. He's kind of housed. He's only got 90 population. Another shrine is going to be thrown up here. There's about a town centre's worth of HP in shrines in this middle location if Prinz wants to take it down, but that will just slow him down. And Haitch is aging up behind with the Yuumi age up. This is going to be basically a do or die push from Prinz. He's clearly got the military advantage. 40 military units over 28 from Haitch, but here comes a batch of 4 Ashes, double Minutemen being popped here for the snare and surrounds. Maybe a little bit late to the party. First shipment here from Haitch is going to be crucial. Probably going to be the 8 Ashi Garus. Daimyo Mototada is going straight on top of the Yuumi Archers. Yuumi Archers need to focus onto the Ashes behind this. A big batch of Yuumi's left side. I didn't know where these have trained would come from. Maybe it was a previous batch from the barracks, but kept these safe. And you know what? This fight has actually gone surprisingly in favour of Haitch. I thought this would have been a Prinz getting a great trade and putting Haitch under severe pressure, but maybe a couple of vills going down here for Haitch has absorbed some of that fire for the Ashes, the Minutemen, the Yuumis and surround to get a great trade, and I think that's going to be near enough here. Haitch is, well, he's got more vills, well, slightly less vills than Prinz, but he has the more shrines, but crucially, he has the tech advantage, the military strength advantage. He's still on the Portuguese tech as well, so he's managed to outgun Prinz's Age 2 army, even though no veteran techs were completed that fight, and that Prinz had Daimyo and Japan consulate support. Divine striking down a Minuteman. Damn, the amount of overkill on that one there. Brutal. So Haitch training another big batch of disciplined Ashes now. Still on Port Consulate. Imperial Bureaucracy is coming in, going for 2 cherry orchards. So instead of Haitch reaching his natural power spike, he has to ease off the gas a moment while sending his 2 cherry orchards to continue gathering food. Meanwhile, what Prinz is doing, well, he's trying to age up now. I guess if he stays age 2, he's dead. If he tries to age up, he might die. So he's going to take his chances in this one. Training 2 Shinobi no Monos from the Japan consulate, but does have a really low amount of export available. Maybe Haitch is waiting for another batch of the boats from the consulate, or maybe a batch of Bestieros from the 400 export he received. He's got in stock, so he could go for veteran age crossbows or royal veteran crossbows, which actually be very strong to have in his composition, given that he's already got enough anti-cav in the Ashigaru departments. But we won't see. The GG's already been called, and Haitch has taken the second game here. Gagut's saying he bets it's going to be the Caravel and the 3 petards. That would be a cheeky play, and that would certainly clean up 6 fishing boats due to the single Caravel not contested, and then the petards. If you can get the flag here, drop the petards off behind the base, it might. We won't even get a wander down. Might get a barracks at best. Barracks, maybe a shrine, but who knows? We'll have to see what Hazza, if he's in the chat, maybe he could say what he was intending to do with those export resources. But Prinz pushed in with the massive power spike and perceived to have the military advantage over Haitch, but the age up was the double Minutemen, the 7 Yuumi Archers. Looked like a batch of. It was 8 Yuumi Archers trained beforehand. I'm not too sure. Yeah, there was no clubmen or Japan export units to defend. I wonder how many villagers went down or tanks during that fight. Only losing 3. I'm a bit confused how Prinz lost that many units or what went wrong there. Maybe it was explorers tanking, or maybe it was just good micro from Haitch having Yuumi Archers focusing down the Ashigarus before then having more units to deal with the Yuumi Archer mass that Prinz had. I wish I could go back and watch that fight again, because that was it. I felt that it was going to be a real close fight, but it just didn't turn out to be. Town Centre Fire wasn't that significant or much of a factor in that engagement. But afterwards, yeah, Haitch was training back to units. He could send whatever, and maybe sending a batch of 5 Nagis as a first shipment would have been very strong as well. I don't think we get to see what Haitch was going to be sending. Yeah, he sent 8 Ashes as first card, but I think they're maybe crossing the map at this point. Yeah, they're already being crossed the map. Anyway, well played there from Haitch, taking the second game from Prinz. Interesting strategies there. We move on to the next game. Looks like we have Jesus in the chat offering his words of support to his fanboy Haitch. I won't explicitly repeat his message, but we have Haitch and Prinz spawning on Deccan. We have Prinz spawning into the eastern map in the colour blue, playing as the Indian civilization. Prinz lost the last game of Japan Mirror, counter-picking with the Indians in the face of Haitch picking the Indian civilization, so it's another mirror. Haitch having first pick because he won the last game, and Prinz deciding to counter-pick, and I can see the logic of going to India on a map like Deccan. 2 explorers getting the water buffaloes. Water buffaloes are the Asian equivalent of cows, so they're incredible livestock to go out and capture. And when you have 2 explorers, it just allows you to get on the map quickly, especially because they're pseudo cavalry units with 5 movement speed, decent line of sight, lots of crate resources as well, so you can train more villagers which cost wood, so it speeds up your age 1. So India don't have that classic sluggish, real slow eco growth that they usually have, so it really impacts them much greater. Could be a great place for agent with the Carni Martyr, covering trees, a gold mine, hunt berries. There's the berries down there. Okay, look at this. 1 minute in, and we already have 4 villagers vying for control, going for a mid-map aggro. I would love to see H just dropping a single wall segment piece in the middle and just saying, nah, F you to my opponent. I want this map control. And H is trying to throw it down. Let's look at Prinz. Has he got the resources? He actually has the resources. He's trying to find it. He's gonna go for it, but H is blocking. Is this a tactical block from H? He's gonna go Carni Master at home. H is trying to find his own place, but Prinz is at 900 food. He's tried, but he can't. Okay, defensive aggro here from Prinz, and H is, I'm guessing the side's mixed up. This is Prinz's side, so it's gonna be a defensive aggro from Prinz, and H has map control and has slows down Prinz's age up considerably. Wow. That was so quick in the game. I did not imagine aggro's being dropped down at minute 15, but by the time Prinz dropped his down, it was at minute 45, maybe minute 50, delayed by a decent 25-30 seconds there. I'm not even joking by that duration. Prinz had that food in his stockpile, ready to throw down his wonder for a very, very long time. And it was something I was going to save up my arsenal to come back and observe, but it caught me off guard how quick it was. So this middle place where both players were looking to go for the aggro, realised only one could get it down, so they tried to move into other places. But H, knowing that he hadn't quite got the resources, thought he'd be more annoying to his opponent than actually polite, and delayed Prinz's age at wonder. And yeah, that was really cool to see. Coin being gathered by H. I think Prinz got a nice wood treasure top side, unless it was a population. No, it was likely to be wood treasure. 100 food as well, 2 lions. That is very tasty. Here's that population treasure. 5 population for 2 tigers. Not the greatest, but it is also incredibly amazing at a very late game situation. And the only other big treasure on the plateau is smugglers for 190 coin. No infantry or other, no infantry upgrades, treasures, or other massive treasures in the mid-map. Alright, King Destroyer, settle down, mate. Settle down. You're not in Drongo's chat now, you're in my chat. And Big Boy Harry is saying you need to settle down, boy. Bit of banter. So it looks like Prinz does manage to get his age up down before H is completed. I hope H's is about to complete. So we've got 2 sepoys and a exposed villager from H who hasn't got a garrison point just yet. His massive house is about to be constructed, and yeah, he's going to pop in and man the guns. The aggro fort's going to turn around and fire back onto the sepoys and pushing Prince's units away. Neither player has dropped their aggro fort on top of a big treasure, which could be a very bad day to the aggro fort's HP. But so let's see how this game progresses, whether it's going to be aggressive or going to be semi-FF, maybe some fast industrial plays. All options available on the cards, and it looks like Haitch's first card here is going to be foreign logging and training Gurkhas from the aggro fort, whereas Prinz has gone for sepoy pressure from his own aggro fort. So sepoys into Gurkhas, maybe just being safe with the first batch being sepoys, but now going Gurkhas behind. This is just going to be a massive Gurkha fest, I feel, this game. Because both players' cavalry options are very limited. Sours can get the job done versus Gurkhas, but with low HP, they just fall over to Zambarak, sepoys. Yeah, it's going to be Gurkha Zam, maybe just Gurkha, and then auxiliary units in AoE3 like the Mahouts, Urumi, and Siege Elephants. Elephants coming in from Haitch, trying to scout out to see what Prinz is doing. Neither player has gone for a trading post this game. Maybe they wanted to get that age up down as fast as possible, but we do see some games in more standard maps and standard resource start. Shall we say, a TP in age 1 is a potential strategy. And you feel on a map like Deccan with these extra resources, you could go into that, but I think both players are preferring tempo. Haitch has 4 Gurkhas and 2 sepoys sandwiched between 2 Gurkhas and a couple of sepoys here. There's 3 sepoys coming from Haitch from the top side. There's a little bit of everything. But it's the elephants are going to be the biggest deciders this fight, it feels like. And Haitch's elephants are slightly late to the party, but they will sit on top of Prinz's Gurkhas. That's quite nice. And once these Gurkhas get dealt with, well, actually in a fight, who is the biggest damage dealer? I think the Gurkhas are still the biggest damage dealer, and with their lower HP, you want to micro those down. So it looks like Haitch is going to try and micro the Gurkhas down and keep his sepoys out of range, but if these are snared, he might just want to turn the sepoys back on top of them and just finish these off quickly. Just feel a lot of micro going over just for a couple of units. It's always quite funny to see. House market. Let's look at the text from Prinz. Prinz has all first tier, second tier food upgrades. Sour's been sent here to the forward aggro of Prinz, where Haitch has sent himself some export instead. Let's look at some Haitch villagers and see what's going on there. He's got second tier food, second tier coin, and all resources as well. So just edging Prinz on that coin income slightly there. He's now teching imperial bureaucracy as well, prioritizing his eco upgrades in the market. Well, I don't think... Yeah, Prinz hasn't got imperial bureaucracy, and he won't be able to afford it anytime soon. But the export here from Haitch is obviously going for the consulate. Or he's going to drop it down and build it. Building it now. Nearly about to complete. I assume you'll be going Ottoman consulates here to deal with the Gurkhas with the Hussars. Minutemen for any defensive plays needed. And villagers if you can get away with being greedy. But Prinz is going to be on the offensive here. And that is going to be an easy Ottoman Hussar into Minutemen pop here from Haitch. Where's his standing army? Oh dear, it's not a lot. It's only top side, 7 Gurkhas. But 7 Gurkhas, Minutemen and Hussars should be enough to, well, clean this up actually. If Haitch can get a good surround and capture and snare on it. And is he going to go for the minutes now? I think the minutes were 150 export, but they might be up to 200, so that might be the reason why it's not. But regular Minutemen being called, he's going for a big double batch here. He's kiting away from the Hussars, but he needs to slam in and get these cavalry units and just other units snared. May want to pull up one of these Hussars onto a Gurkha unit just to try and snare that infantry mass. Gurkha's a little bit awkward pathing through the water buffaloes. 5,000 IQ strategies could have been using the water buffaloes to block the Indian army of Prinz, but I don't think it's going to matter too much here. There's still 2 Hussars standing. Hands, sentries as well, getting some good damage here, snaring the Gurkhas. The elephants are still standing with decent HP, and the Gurkhas are just firing from behind, basically with free range, and Prinz's army is just melted there. And on a big map like Deccan, lots of resources, boomy strategies, not too sure that the pushing out all in behind Haitch's base was the best idea. I suppose it's easy for me to say in a retrospective situation. But H was managing to defend that quite comfortably with minutes and hussars, as well as going Imperial bureaucracy on villagers, and sending foreign login and the 300 exports. If he can, and if Hazard can survive that, yeah. So if H can survive the aggressive play while going greedy, then maybe the aggressive play is just not strong enough. "29 vills for Prinz. H has 25 villagers. So I think H did lose a couple villagers. He lost one up here and maybe 2 on the coin mine. So he's down a little bit. And, more importantly, H has spent his export on hussars, whereas Prinz may want to spend his export on the villager tech shipments. So he sent the villager tech shipment. He's up to 34 villagers now. Yeah, so that difference is now even greater, exaggerated. 34 villagers versus the 26. Prinz is looking to be in a fine spot, if I may say so. I will very happily eat my previous words of saying maybe the overcommittal was questionable, but forcing the hussars and delaying your opponent even being able to go for his own villager shipment from the Ottoman consulates is basically an extra 4 villagers swing in terms of Prinz's favour. Looks like H is now going brick consulate. His flag's gone down. Was it still up? It's gone down. It's gone down. Yeah, it's changing, but I don't know what he's changing to. You would assume it's the British consulate at this point, but yeah, I guess he wants that extra bit of HP on his units before taking the next fight. But it's not like he can train a batch of redcoats straight away at the moment. Sentries on scouting duty. These guys will fall down very quickly to the Indian mass here from Prinz. A couple bits, squadron of cavalry topside, Sowers and hussars. So Prinz has managed to go for the villagers and hussars. By that counter argument, Hazard should be able to do it at the same time. He's now going for the 4 settlers, so he's still allying with the Ottoman consulate, but the flag is down for some reason. Maybe it's a day of mourning here for H for that lost villager in his town centre, which Prinz picked up, but no matter. The Ottomans are very kind to send more settlers to the front line. Okay, a couple of Zams here for H, trying to pull these back. Total 10 Zams, and all these Sowers and Hussars should fall over from Prinz very quickly. So we're talking about how we went back to this like Gurkha Zam combination, and Prinz is favouring a Sepoy Sour combination. And I remember Prinz playing Indians on Pampas Sierras back in the New World Championship at the LAN, favouring a Sepoy Sour combination in the mirror. And I think Diaruga got a victory over him going Gurkha Zam. And in this situation, I feel just Gurkha Zam is just the way to go. Counter cavalry, counter infantry, a little bit of micro, and hey presto, you've got a stronger army. Sepoys trying to go into a little bit of melee there to close the distance, but having to go back to range combat. Now that the Sour's gone down, Zams could even body block for the Gurkhas. Gurkhas range fire, double damage versus the Sepoys. And this is just a bad trade now for Prinz. I suppose he's committed because he's in range of Gurkhas. Even if he does retreating loses another 5 Sepoys there, and Sour Sepoys just not feeling to be working out here for the Indian player of Prinz in the mirror. A couple of villagers hiding in the agri fort, protecting them from Sours. Again, Sours no upgrades, so 225 HP, 20 hand attack only with multipliers versus Gurkhas, and that's it. They don't have multipliers versus Sepoys. They have a strong multiplier versus Gurkhas, but they only do 40 damage, where a regular Hussar does 30 damage regardless of whatever unit it touches. Now there's Indian player of Haitch having 25 Gurkhas, but more importantly 14 Zams. These Zams actually have their camel attack card, so plus 30%, which then if you multiply that by its multipliers, they melt these Sours with no HP upgrades, because India, they don't get HP upgrades. And so yeah, Sours are very decent early Colonial, but they fall right off the cliff late Colonial. And Haitch is just feeling comfortable because he knows he's got the Gurkha mass. He knows he's got enough anti-cavalry here to defend what Prinz is doing. Prinz is double stable. he's double stable, but it's not like you're ever going to double pump Sours into full Zam here at this point. Osman Minutemen being called from the Agrafort, pushing back the Gurkhas, but calling Minutemen with at a time, I suppose, I mean, there is no real better time. A couple of sepoys away from the fight because, well, they're going to die if they go into the fight. It'd be great if everything kind of closed in on one large single clump of military units here for Prinz, but Gurkha's just picking away from safe distance. Zam's just not engaged in the fight. Don't need to throw away your anti-cavalry here, considering that Prinz is not winning the Gurkha fight. Haitch is winning the Gurkha fight. And yeah, it looks like Haitch is going to push in here. Another big batch of Sours trying to get onto the Gurkhas, but Haitch is he's just aware of not throwing away these precious anti-cavalry units, even calling Desert Terror now to get an extra multiplier versus the Sours. So we could do a little bit of fun math here. 19 sounds by it's going to be the 4 versus the camels. Yeah, it's going to be 80 damage per shot. It's going to be a 5-shot kill with the 30% range resist here. But there's 23. Each volley could kill 4 camels at a time. Okay, looks like the Gurkha's going to have a little bit of path and issue around the tree, and the Sours getting in, so good attack here with their own camel attack now, but it's just the Zams behind, melting the Sours, and now we have a full rank of Zambaraks as well as Gurkhas, leaving just the infantry behind from Prinz. And if Prinz had a solid massive Gurkhas, he would be alright at this position, but because he can't afford this military trade. Even trading Gurkhas with Zambaraks, it's just that push out to try and secure the map and resources hasn't worked this time. And Haitch is happily sat on the mid map with his villagers. Looks like Haitch is training a single H2O at the moment to win him the game. Also sending Dravidian and martial arts. Okay, we actually have 5 Sours out in the field for Haitch, but there's no Zams on the field for Prinz. There's no Sepoys on the field for Prinz. I think he does have his Minutemen though, his Sentry Militia if he wants to defend it. But with no anti-cav, these Sepoys are just going to 2-hit kill all these Gurkhas. There's the Pike Sentries coming out a little too late, and even though Haitch is so far ahead, he's happy to pull back and micro his Sours just to preserve their life as well. Going on for a 5v2 fight there on the anti-cavalry. Batch of 5 Gurkhas coming out, Sours topside, but Haitch is moving his Zams onto the Sours. His own Sours is going to go on top of these Gurkhas. The Gurkhas are just trading very well, and the game is called, and Haitch has won 3-0. Guys, Haitch is the first person to qualify into the semi-final position of the ESOC Challenge Cup. So big round of applause to Haitch. Very, very well done there. Prinz now losing 2 series so far in the ESOC Challenge Cup. Could try and go for one more victory for a bit of pride and honour, but I think also from his point of view, his chance of finishing the group in 2nd position and picking up some dollary dues is also at risk or not very likely. But I think, though, if Prinz can win his final series versus Optimus Prime, that could be a deciding factor of who actually gets 2nd. Because if Optimus won't get the 2nd place, then the other person in the group, which maybe Kevin might be. So it's Kevin versus Optimus in line for qualifying 2nd in the group. They won't be progressing. Okay, they won't be qualifying and progressing to the next stage, but they will finish 2nd and picking up some well-earned prize money for their performances so far. But yeah, Haitch just showing why he's considered one of the tournament favourites. Prinz puts up a good fight. Somehow didn't get the great fight he wanted in the 2nd game. And if that fight went in Prinz's favour, well, you're 1-all at the moment. You go into Tekan. Bit of eco advantage here. Maybe if he also went into Gurkha Zam instead of the Sepoy Sour, there's potential for Prinz leading Haitch 2-1 at this point. Things are so finely poised at this level of gameplay. But Haitch managing to overcome his opponent at each time and wins the series. Let's look into the post-game, see if there's anything of note, of anything interesting to note. And when I say that, there's always interesting things to note. A couple of villagers going down for Haitch in that earlier push. It went from 25 to 22 villagers, and a little bit of idle time, or maybe he lost 4 but trained 1 villager in this transition period. But Prinz did have the villager discrepancy, but the 4 vills came in from Haitch, and he's only 2 vills down, so there must be a bit of idle time here from Prinz, or Haitch managing to get all that extra experience points and get another shipment in. Let's look at the shipments. Was that first fight? Yeah, look at that first fight. Give Haitch an extra shipment, more tempo, and each of these Indian shipments give an extra villager as well. So that's where Haitch was able to claw back in that eco in that regard. That military fight. Oh yeah, that was the mid map with the Sepoys and Gurkha fight when the Elephant Explorers coming in and tanking and getting some really good micro there. That went really well for Haitch. I think quite a lot of these units weren't in the fight for both players, but once the actual push came in, it felt for a while that Prinz had a real strong army mass, but it was just a double pop of minutes. The Hussars being called as well, trapping the army behind and cleaning up. And Prinz has to spend a lot of investments to remass, while Haitch can just continue with his Gurkha Zam production. First fight as well with the main army. You can see it was, yes, a lot of the Gurkhas were going down. It looked really impressive, but the Sawas with their 2 population melted in front of that line of Zambaraks, and the Zambaraks always stayed around and just was pinning Prinz down with that military lead in the end there.